Now we are going to look at factorising harder quadratics. So this time when our a is not equal to 1. So when we factorise quadratics, essentially what you are doing is you're putting the quadratic expression into two brackets. So instead of a single bracket, you have a double brackets, like so. Okay, so we have this one here. So factorise 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. So in this instance, if we write ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are numbers. So in this instance here, our a is 2, our b is 7, and our c is 3. So what we do first is we do a times by c. So whatever our a is, so in this instance here, 2 times by our c, which is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Now this time what we're going to do is we are going to work out two numbers that times to make what a times c is 6, but it has to still add to make our number in the middle, our b, which is 7. So factors of 6 are 1 and 6, 2 and 3. So for this instance here, 1 and 6 will times to make 6, and 1 and 6 will also add to make 7. So now what we do from here is this 7x here, we are going to split it into 2. So we're going to split this 7x into 1x add 6x, because 1x add 6x is 7. So then from here, we are going to draw an imaginary sort of line to just split it into 2 like so. So we split it into, so the left hand side is 2x squared plus 1x, and the right hand side is 6x plus 3. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to factorise each side. So let's look at the left hand side first. When we factorise, we essentially try to work out the highest common factor, and we are putting it into brackets. So if we look at 2x squared and 1x, what do they both have in common with each other? They both have 1x in common with each other. So we're going to write x on the outside. X times by what makes 2x squared, that's going to be 2x. And then x times by what makes x, so 1x, which is just going to be 1. And then on the right hand side, we factorize it again. What do 6x and 3 have in common with each other? They have positive 3 in common with each other. 3 times by what makes 6x, that's going to be 2x. And 3 times by what makes 3, which is 1. So now, to ensure that we are doing it correctly, our terms in our brackets for both sides needs to be the same, which they are. So it's just a good way to tell whether we are doing something correctly. So now what we are going to do is we're going to factorize again, or essentially what we're doing is in one of the brackets is going to be our 2x plus 1. And then in the other brackets is going to be the numbers that were on the outsides of our brackets when we factorize it. So that's going to be x add 3. And that is it. Okay, so we've got this one here. Factorize this. So our a is 5, b is negative 3, and our c is negative 2. So we first have to do a times by c. So 5 times by negative 2, which is negative 10. Now we have to work out two numbers that times to make what a times c is. So times to make negative 10, but adds to make negative 3. So because we have to work out two numbers at times to make negative 10, that means that one of our numbers needs to be positive and the other number needs to be negative. So one positive and one negative. Factors of 10 is 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. So for here, it would be negative 5 and 2, negative 5 and 2. Then from here, what we do is we split that negative 3x into negative 5x plus 2x. So 5x squared minus 5x squared, minus 5x, add 2x minus 2. And then we draw that line to divide it into 2. Factorize the left-hand side, so 5x squared and negative 5x have 5x in common with each other, so that's going to be outside our brackets. 5x times by what makes 5x squared, so we need another x to get from x to x squared. And then 5x times by negative 1 would make that negative 5x. This one here, what's in common with 2x and negative 2? So 2x and negative 2 is 2. And then x, because 2 times by x makes 2x. And then negative 1, because 2 times by negative 1 makes negative 2. So then from here, to ensure that we are doing it correctly, our numbers inside our brackets needs to be the same. So x minus 1 are on both sides, so that shows that we are doing it correctly. So in one of our brackets is going to be x minus 1. Then in the other one is going to be the terms that were outside the brackets when we factorized it, which is going to be 5x plus 2. Great. Okay, let's look at this one here. So our A is 8, our B is negative 14, and our C is 3. Now we need to work out two numbers that, before that, we need to do A times by C. So 8 times by 3, which is 24. And then we need to work out two numbers that times to make 24, but add to make negative 14. Factors of 24 is 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. So because it has to times to make a positive number, it means that either both of our numbers are positive or both of our numbers are negative. So for this instance here, it will only make sense if we do negative 2 and negative 12 and negative 2 plus minus 12. Because a plus and a minus makes a minus, so negative 2 minus 12 is negative 14. Then we're going to split this negative 14x into 2, so into negative 2x minus 12x, essentially. So 8x squared minus 2x minus 12x plus 3. And then we're going to draw our imaginary line, or our line to just divide it into 2. Factorize the left-hand side. So what do they have in common? What's the highest common factor, essentially? So between these two terms, 8x squared and negative 2x, it's going to be 2x. 2x times by 4x makes 8x squared. 2x times by negative 1 makes negative 2x. This one here, so what do they both have in common with each other? They have a 3 in common with each other, so plus 3. And then 4x, so 3 times by what makes negative 12x, so that's going to be negative 4x. And then 3 times by what makes 3, that's plus 1. Oh, but our numbers, our terms inside our brackets are different. So how can we change this one here to make it similar to that one? What we can do is change this positive 3 into negative 3. So turn into negative 3 in brackets. Negative 3 times by positive 4x makes that negative 12x. And if you do negative 3 times by negative 1, will make that 3x. Well, 3, sorry. And now we factorize, well, put it into double brackets now. So one of it is going to be that 4x minus 1. Then the other one is going to be the numbers that were outside the bracket, so 2x minus 3.